Can we trust the people in charge of
It's
AI?
not owned by the Gartner
All
Group.
of these playing out.
And so he came out with this thing that said, look, you can be open source but proprietary. Open source doesn't mean that it's non-proprietary. You can have
you guys create it's still you, and that's
you can also,
is what I think was Sam's plan from the beginning. He didn't care about the lies, he didn't care about the manipulation, he didn't care about even, getting some people that mysteriously died, right? And all of that, because and moreover, the lawsuit that he knew was coming. He knew it was coming from the beginning. He may claiming about some delays and statute of limitations crap. He knew that was coming, but why he didn't care is because he knew that by the time this lawsuit got to court, his company and his AI was going to be already too big to fail.
And there were other things. So the
moment
operators, for example, told me that the reason they like to do this level of tracking is not so much for safety, is that sometimes the fueling companies pay the crews to sit around and circle around for a few more times so they can earn a little bit more money, and they just split it with the crew.
Welcome to the From the Future podcast. I am your host, Manny Hernandez, and with me, as always, is the one and only Carlos Art Nevarez. Carlos, my man, say what's up.
What's up, guys? Manny.
Each week, we cut through the noise on technology, AI, crypto, financial markets, and the signals most people miss until it's too late. In today's show, we're talking about the have and the have-nots of the AI gold rush. Also, as the OpenAI trial wraps up, the most founder machine keeps spinning. What will the jury actually decide in the case of Elon Musk and Sam Altman? OpenAI says that Codex is coming to your phone very soon, so we'll see what's happening there. Also, Ed Zitron says that everyone is aggressively avoiding reality. We would also talk about how the crypto market structure bill clears a committee, but concerns are abound before the Senate vote. An U.S. law firm also filed a motion to request the redistribution of 344 million USDT linked to Iran. And the court also lets the Arbitrum DAO transfer 71 million in ETH, the one tied to the North Korea hack a couple of weeks ago. And the court allowed Arbitrum to transfer that to Aave. So we'll see if Aave can finally get out of the hole that they got themselves in after accepting a bad collateral transaction. And also, Elon Musk steals the show on trip to China. We'll break down what the headline says, what it actually means, and why it matters for your future. No hype, no fluff, just clear signals from the future. So smash them like, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into it. Carlos, my man, did you know that the Musk versus Altman trial is coming to a close this week?
I've been watching.
What do you think? What do you think about it?
Well, these guys are both politicians. So I'm not sure what to think about it.
It's all about the politics, right? Because in the final, the arguments keep circling back to one question. Can we trust the people in charge of AI? All of this playing out as SpaceX charges towards what could be one of the largest IPOs in American history. It's crazy to think that, they're fighting about non-profit, right? Or being open source, but he wants to launch his as the biggest IPO ever. So I don't know what's the deal with that.
Well, I think that in my era, there was the fight of closed source versus open source, proprietary, not
With the
proprietary.
browsers back then, right? The fight over who was going to control the browser.
The Corsair browser was claiming we're the open source, and back then you had which one was it that won? I don't even remember. Netscape, right? Netscape, and that was the argument. But I think so. One of my good friends, he was one of the world's. He's now deceased, but he had this consultancy, and it's now owned by the Gartner Group. And so he came out with this thing that said, look, you can be open source but proprietary. Open source doesn't mean that it's non-proprietary. You can have,
you guys create, it's still yours,
right? and you can own some stuff that you don't let it out in the public domain, right? It doesn't have to be non-proprietary. So open source doesn't mean it's not private.
Because I see what you're saying, because in theory you can open source the code for research and development, and then you keep the commercial license tied so that only you can use it for commercial purposes. I see.
Or you can let them use it for commercial purposes, right? But for example, look at the SUSE Linux way of doing it. They are proprietary, but you have to buy maintenance and
all the support and all the tech comes.
But the code itself is open source. You can work on it all you want.
I think the guys from aka.net.
Exactly. By the way, because I get to eat breakfast and I'm helping myself.
That's not a problem, man. The real issue here is actually that they didn't do it like that. The goal of Musk, or at least he claims, is that he wanted to create AI for the good of humanity. He wanted to actually give it away, not commercialize it or make profit from it, or at least leave the arm supposedly that is open, and then create a separate closed source entity under Tesla, I'm pretty sure, right? To push forward, so that Tesla can benefit from the revenue that arises from the use of that AI.
And that is that SUSE Linux model, right? Where you leave a portion that's for profit and you leave a thing that's not for profit, that allows the community to move the code forward.
But I think that in the process of that, everybody started with great intentions, but then in the process of doing all that, Sam realized that this had the potential to be bigger than anything else ever created before. And then Elon didn't care, because I'm already, Elon is already the richest guy in the world. He doesn't care, right? But he saw the opportunity to become a tech mogul, which he wasn't one, and be at the forefront of the development of a crucial piece of technology. So, but in the trial, really what it says here is that what the jurors are now deliberating over, it's in a couple of narrow questions, breach of charitable trust, unjust enrichment, and aiding and abetting the breach of the charitable trust, especially with reference to Microsoft through its interactions with OpenAI. Also, if Musk wins out, it could mean the end of OpenAI as a for-profit company, but it's not entirely clear what will the result be. Next week, the judge will begin a set of new hearings where the lawyers from both sides will debate what the consequences of a verdict in favor of the plaintiff might be. So that I found quite weird. So you're going to tell me that while jury is still deliberating, I want you guys to come here, because I don't even know what...
We got to talk about what might happen if the verdict goes the wrong way.
What is the consequence if it goes to the plaintiff? What are we going to do here? What?
Well, I think again, I think it's wrong, probably from a legal perspective, right? To now go around the process of why do you have
First of all, it's giving me like a hint, like the judge thinks is going to go in favor of Elon, right? So it's like hinting that it's going to go, but then
I don't think they can find any hole in his argument. There's no hole in it.
And I agree with it. And I agree. The thing is like, okay, but how come do you don't know what will the consequence will be? It should be in the litigation. It should be on the prayer for relief from the plaintiff. What they want, right? There's a prayer for relief that you do to the judge. This is what they did to me. This is how they stole the company. Now it's for profit. It used to be non-profit. They stole my money, Your Honor. And now you do a prayer for relief. I want you to do this, and that. So if they win,
I don't think they're thinking of a defendant in this case, right? I think they're saying if ChatGPT drops out of commission, how does it hurt the U.S. population? Which, right?
That is what I think was Sam's plan from the beginning. He didn't care about the lies. He didn't care about the manipulation. He didn't care about even, getting some people that mysteriously died, right? And all of that because, and moreover, the lawsuit that he knew was coming. He knew it was coming from the beginning. He may claiming about some delays and statute of limitations crap. He knew that was coming, but why he didn't care is because he knew that by the time this lawsuit got to court, his company and his AI was going to be already too big to fail. And the moment you cross that umbrella, now you're big to fail, it doesn't matter. Anything that you do is just going to be met with a slap in the wrist and some fines, pay back Elon his money,
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. And Elon gets to keep the models and use them and maybe even release them. And now you have to go on your own and create your own models.
Well, but this is what I was going to go with this. Mm-hmm. The LLM itself is not the model.
It's the neural network, the weights.
It's the training, right?
Well, the weights, the neural.
I can give you Gemma 4 today. The whole code, the whole thing. I run the LLM on my server, but without training.
Yeah, but what is training? Let's define
stuff.
But let's define what is training. Is the ending result on the weights of the neural network. Because what is a neural network? You're just passing through, moving the weights up and down, and checking if the result is right. That's why you need to give every AI a goal. You cannot never ask an existential question because it's all about weights in a neural network. So the training is the ending results of the weight. What was the weight for this parameter? What was the weight for this other parameter? What was the weight for this other parameter? If you have that, then you have the model.
Well, but generationals are a little different, right? Because generational combines a little bit of the neural network piece, but they also convert things like the BERT, the bidirectional encoding and
the transformers and the fences and all the guardrails.
Those behave differently, and they don't depend on the weights anymore, right? So they don't depend on weights. So there's three parts to today's LLMs. One is the weights. That's what deals with matching this to that. But the creation of the patterns that are recognized is done by the encodings, right? By the transformers. Embeddings and encodings and all that stuff that's outside of the neural network, and so those encodings are not something trivial to do, right? This what requires.
No, it's not. It's actually what handles a lot of the edge cases that the weights cannot handle. For example, the word "may" can be it can be a woman's. It can be It can be I may go to. So now you have to look at the context.
It can be the month. It could be the month of May.
In the context, you can actually guess the meaning of any word, even a made-up word. You can guess the meaning based on the context, and that's what the transformers do very well.
Correct. And so because of that, if I were OpenAI and I'm thinking they're going to do this, they're going to say, okay, fine, the code is in the open source. just like Gemma 4 is in the open source. You can just go get it, and I don't even know if Gemma's open source, but I know I can download it and run it on my servers.
Same as DeepSeek and others, but is it really?
Well, it is, but I don't get. I get just the basic training for understanding language, right? So natural language understanding is already part of it, but I don't get the ability to create a model that say recognizes domain specific stuff, computer science. I don't know, making a movie, something like that. That's the kind of stuff where training comes in, and so for example, you can see Codex that's built on GPT. Codex it's the same underlying engine, but the model above that
training is focused on coding.
It's built domain expertise, right? So and that's used by reading all kinds of GitHub repos and all that other stuff, and slowly it's built a knowledge base.
It's trained purely on code. It's not trained on all English or language or books. It's
correct.
Just trained on everything that has to do with programming languages and programming and all that. The same way that Mythos was, they haven't said this. They don't even say what Mythos is, but we can assume that it's just a model that was trained just as a hacker. It's still learning programming, but from the point of view from a penetration tester. Right? And so now it's giving a whole new set of capabilities and tools, because that's all something else. It's not about the fact that it's intelligent, but it's also about the fact that it was given the skills, which means access to use tools like Kali, for example, right? The Kali OS and NPM scanners and all kinds of things that a penetration tester needs that other models never had. Other models is just language generation. It's just prediction, right? But little by little, with agentic AI, they start giving skills. But what they did, train a model just for hacking and then give it all the skills that a hacker will need and all the tools and release it. And it was scary. That's why they didn't release it to the public, right?
Well, and I think that's, if I'm OpenAI, I'm not worried, right? Because I can always say, here you go, whatever.
And they already secured the funding. They must have already implemented security, right? Like backup emergency mechanisms. Like, what if we lose the case? Well, what are we going to do? I hope they know.
I honestly think that even if they lose the case, it's not going to do much. I really think this was more about. Imagine back when I was growing up in computer science, right? The argument was, what was the best operating system, right? You had OS2, you had Unix, Linux, NetWare, all these different VAX, VMS, all these different operating systems, and the war was over the operating system.
I was an Ubuntu fan.
Yes, and then you had the masses just kind of coming around and saying Linux is going to become it. It started as Minix, became Linux, but soon everybody forgot about the OS, and it became about the capabilities of the OS, the file systems, the device drivers.
The wrapper, which is Windows and Mac, became the wrapper of Linux on top, and then which is the best wrapper. I see where you're going. The same thing that is happening also now we see on crypto is no longer about the blockchain or what chain is underneath. It's all about the capabilities of the decentralized app on top.
The app at some point it goes up to the top. So I think this one, being that these two guys are really smart, I think they both saw it as a way to get great advertising for their own agenda.
It is great marketing. That's for sure. Plus, it presents them and sets them up as the top dogs, because here we are fighting for who's going to control. It's like, but why just two guys in the court? What happens with Anthropic? What happens with Manus? What happens with all the other research labs? So they're not part of this. So it's a marketing proposition, but whoever wins is now the king of AI, supposedly, right? Which is all bullshit, because
I think by next year, none of this is going to matter.
None of this is going to matter. But what will continue to matter is the how AI affect us. There's a new article
No
that just
question.
a new post that just came out by Menu Ventures partner Didi Das. This guy, let me pull it up here real quick. Says the vibes around the current AI boom aren't great. The have and the have-nots of the AI gold rush, even in the tech industry, according to Didi Das, he describes San Francisco right now as a pretty frenetic place, as the divide in outcomes is the worst he has ever seen. Using a back of the envelope AI calculation, he projected that there are around 10,000 people, talking about founders and employees and companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, and NVIDIA, that they already have hit retirement wealth about $20 million, right? So you got all the top dogs that have been around since forever in Silicon Valley, that they don't care much because they already see their bank accounts as healthy, and they already hit that retirement wealth threshold. But everyone else is worried. Why? Because they see that even if they work in their well-paying jobs their whole lives, they will never get there. So you have the haves and the have-nots. Those junior developers, those seniors that are starting finally hit 5, 10, 7 years working in the company, going up the ladder, and then all of a sudden, right, 20 since the pandemic, right? Now here comes AI to sweep the rug under, and they don't have, even if they were to secure the job as the AI orchestrator of the company, they already see themselves as, I'm just going to be an employee, a forever employee. I will never reach a point in which if I wanted to retire, I can actually retire. And plus, all those layoffs are in full swing, and many other software engineers feel like their life skill is no longer useful. That's something that hits hard, especially when you made your, people like Bowen, right? That have been all their careers just writing lines of code. And then all of a sudden, AI took it all away. And, a lot of people like him and many others like us, we were able to pivot. We understand it. We see it. We don't, we're not in love with the act of writing code, right? Yeah. So it's easier for us to pivot. But there's a lot of people, especially inside these companies, that were working up the ladder, that now they got stuck or they're about to be laid off, and they have nowhere to go. Because if I got laid off from Meta, first of all, they don't like going to a perceived lower company. So nobody likes to downgrade. That's a problem. Second, if Meta laid you off, it's because you were not able to pivot. It's because you were not able to, right? So why should I hire you? It becomes an issue. It really becomes an issue.
I like the way you described it as the haves and have-nots.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the haves and have-nots is about knowledge and experience. So what I mean by that, yesterday, I wrote this really sophisticated system with Claude and Codex, and somebody called me and said, "Hey, this flight is showing that it's en route from this airport to this airport, but I don't think that's true."
Okay.
And I'm like, okay. So I went and looked, and sure enough, there was a bug. The AI had made a bug by not anticipating that if it didn't get notified when an airplane landed, it left the airplane in the air forever.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
Right. And so this flight has been in flight from San Francisco to Reno for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And me not knowing airports, not knowing anything, I just wrote the code with Claude. I'm sitting there not catching the bug. I don't know what I don't know. But once I saw the fix that Claude suggested, well, I need to do this and this and that. I'm like, no, this is not. I don't want to just fix that flight. I want to fix the systematic problem. What is the problem? And then it found the problem. It says, oh, I want to fix that. I'm like, no, you're still not seeing it. You're fixing the specific instance of the problem, but you're fixing the symptom. You're not fixing the actual sickness in the system. And we continued to argue back and forth. And it finally got what I was saying. It was like, look, the way we modeled the data to start with is wrong. We modeled it as a table, as columns and rows in a relational database. This is not that. This is a graph. These are nodes with edges between them, and you can't model a graph inside. I mean, you can, but it's very expensive.
You shouldn't.
It doesn't scale. It doesn't scale, right? So it goes, oh, you're right. Boom, 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 15 seconds, boom, done. All of a sudden,
and now everything working.
Everything worked. Boom, 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 immediately. And then we talked about how to fix it, how to keep something like this from happening, blah, blah, blah. But what's the difference? I know engineering. I've been doing engineering for many years, and I recognize that the pattern it was using in its own development was incorrect.
Not only that, you are able as a human to relate the data to a real world, right? This is a real plane in the real world. So the AI doesn't understand that a flight cannot just stay on the air forever because it doesn't understand physics. It doesn't understand the logic of how a plane operates. It just know that it's something we take to move humans from point A to point B. It doesn't understand all the ins and outs of a plane taking off and landing.
And that it has a finite timetable. And then we went into the more important thing to me, which was like, look, because it says, okay, here's how we fix it. I'm like, I think there's better than a fix here, because if we start tracking the times that a particular airplane takes from point A to point B, and we start tracking that, and we're able to tell now next time when the plane is not arriving within its time
we
slot.
can even see when it's delayed now.
Delaying, or if all of a sudden nobody can
change to a whole new airport, especially on private, because these are private planes. Maybe the VIP we need to reroute to this, and the captain on the fly literally change course, and now it's going to a new airport, and the system has not catch it yet, because that's why it's better to ping the. Can you just ping the transborder APIs?
So you end up having to ping the FAA to tell you if it's actually
that's
there.
the only real way, because if they have it on, true.
Correct.
Which they all do, but you get the point.
No, and there were other things. So the operators, for example, told me that the reason they like to do this level of tracking is not so much for safety, is that sometimes the fueling companies pay the crews to sit around and circle around for a few more times so they can a little bit more money, and they just split it with the crew.
And also you need to know if you're the broker, because if you already have another VIP that you're gonna fly out of that plane out, and there's any issues, you need to be able to rearrange for that. But so it's very important to have all the data.
But so the point is, if you have the experience, that's the have, right? You're able to work on this thing and do all kinds of amazing things. Bowen can do that. He's got the experience. He's got the knowledge. You get somebody who sat there and all they did was cut code all day.
But that's the problem. These guys work in companies where they have managers who are being spoon-fed. Do this function, do that function. So do this, do that. So, and they have never been allowed to work on their own. And all of a sudden, their managers are coming. Here are your tokens, and trying to what? I have no liberty, anyways. You have to tell me what to code, and the managers have no idea. So now, when you do the monthly or the quarterly report, you still have all your tokens because your manager didn't tell you what to build, right? But they still were expecting you to somehow spend your tokens, because if you don't spend your tokens now, Carlos, that means you're not working.
You're not coding. Yeah.
Crazy to even think about it. But that's the reality they're finding themselves in. So we're about to go through a big transition. We don't know how that looks like in full yet, but I do see that the gap between the haves and the have-nots will continue to increase. On another note, OpenAI says that Codex is coming to your phone very, very soon. Codex is going mobile. The coding tool, which OpenAI launched approximately a year ago, has now been integrated into the ChatGPT app, allowing users to monitor and manage their development workflows remotely. The new function allows users to see their Codex live environments in any device they have it running. This is more than just the ability to remotely control a single task or dispatch new tasks to your computer. But from your phone, you can now work across all your threads, review outputs, approve commands, and change models, or even start something new. So this is actually going to come very handy for you. You got
it? Very handy. I got it. It's running.
Right? I was thinking that they got you moving all up, all and down. You can continue to crank out, right?
I can say, hey, but I'm busy, and I can go check this for me. Can you check out a repo? Can you make a change? And boom, boom.
So what is the need of things like OpenClaw or Hermes anymore?
That's removing the need.
Right? Removing
kind of. Not fully.
OpenClaw is always on, and this continues to be prompt based, right? So it will not do nothing that you don't tell it to do, but still, you give it a command, it will work for as long as needed until it finishes that. Actually, I like that a little bit more, because sometimes with my OpenClaw, the surprises. You wake up and it has done all kinds of things that you didn't ask. Burned through a bunch of tokens, and now you have a bunch of good code, but that you will never use, because it was being too proactive, I will say. So I like this approach more, where that's what I do. It doesn't matter if I am using Kimi, Codex, Claude, I got them all. I like to be, I tell you what to do, go do it, I review, and then I approve or redirect based on the outcome. That's the best way to go about it.
The way I work with that piece is I create one of the agents as the supervisor, right? And I tell them this is what I need done, and make sure nobody goes outside of this.
Goes wrong outside it.
Right. And then for complicated stuff, I'll have it use one from not the same model, right? So shoot a Codex and a Claude or a Kimi, and have them work on a competitive solution with each other.
Okay, right? To see which one will
to see what
provide
comes
the
out.
best output.
Yeah, because I think that helps with hallucinations. And then once they have it, I create a debate team with at least 4 agents arguing for one of the other, right?
Which one is best? The pros and the cons of each.
Yes, and they critique blah blah blah. And then there's a moderator for the debate team that decides who wins the argument or not. And then after that, they all reach consensus. And they're creating amazing code, right? With that model.
The future will be amazing.
And OpenClaw works really good for that. Because it's really good at it.
It's good. It's good at managing the orchestration and the agents and discussing and coming up. Yeah, I see that. I see how that could be. The Kimi agent swarm, pretty good too. Love it. I've been using it more than I should.
The problem is with Swarm is you can't have all the different models in there, right? So like
exactly. No, with Swarm it's just Kimi, but then when you're doing a piece of research it works everything, and then it does a great job putting it all together. But I don't know for how long this is going to last, because energy. We still, every episode we continue to speak about energy, and this episode will not be the exception. Check what's his name? Ed Zitron has to say here on this clip.
On the note that data centers are a big weak spot of the AI bubble, if not for no other reason than they are the physical limitation of otherwise completely speculative valuations. So this week I want to dig into the narrative around data centers even more. And you explain in your newsletter this week that developers are getting around the long construction times by using intentionally confusing language to describe the various states of data center completion.
Yeah, they're trying to fool us.
As the case may be. Can you just take us through that?
So if you've heard about someone saying they're building a 1 gigawatt data center, they have not. No one has done that. You're hearing everyone talk about it. Mr. Wonderful himself, Mr. Kevin O'Leary, is Mr. Dog Crap, I call him. He's claiming he's going to build a 9 gigawatt one in Utah. No, he won't. That's never going to happen. You will see things like Microsoft's Fairwater, Atlanta, and Wisconsin data centers, both of which are operational. When you actually look, they're both only a single phase in. In fact, I did a very deep dive on every single Microsoft data center that's broken ground since 2023 that's been mentioned anywhere. None of them have been finished. In fact, some of them have barely begun construction. This is actually a problem across the entire stack of data centers. Most data centers are not being built. They're being under construction, but that is not the same as being finished. And in all honesty, I don't think that much capacity has come online in the last few years. I think maybe a gigawatt or two in 2 years.
And if any, you know, I think that, you know, these guys are just burning VC money big time, buying chips up front for and they don't have the racks, they don't have the energy. What's going to happen in 2027, 2028 when none of these data, none of them get delivered and we're not able to scale anymore? I think that is what may force us to actually come up with a real AI, not prediction text, something different that doesn't use that much compute capacity. I think that once the compute capacity starts lacking, that will force the real innovation, because it's necessity is the mother of all innovation. When you see what DeepSeek was able to accomplish on China, the reason behind that is because we were not shipping the H200 chips to them. Right. If we were to be shipping that to them, then they will have taken the building path, and we will not have the type of advancements on, especially the way the retraining, the way they take big chunks of text and compress it into a mathematical number, really, yes, without losing context. It's crazy. But they have they created like 3 new algorithms just to manage memory, and that is what allows them to run DeepSeek in a much weaker chip, for lack of better words. Not saying that those chips are weak, right, but in comparison, right? So that's what I think is going to happen, because he's right. And we have been saying it. We have been seeing it. A lot of people are talking about building data centers. There's a big freaking protest going on around the Kevin O'Leary big data center in Utah, I think, because people don't want it. But it doesn't matter. It's never going to get built. It's not going to be done on time. By the time it goes online, I'm pretty sure there will be already models out there that doesn't need the big data centers and the big capacity. Well, and that will be the key.
I think you're going to have both, right? I think that, I mean, as you know, with Roman, we already started a big green fund that's closing fairly soon, right? $1.5 billion already oversubscribed by people who believe that green data centers is the way to go.
If you can actually invest in something that is getting built and it gets built, it's safe investment. Safe.
So so what did we do? We ended up with about 38 different properties that are build ready, right? That have accessible power, right? They call them energized land. Right, that we don't have to go build a power plant. One of the problems with that,
or a substation,
right? That's what I mean. That where a lot of stuff that's happened in Utah in the Microsoft ones is that they did not find energized land. They had to come in, and part of the deal with the community was, I'm going to build a substation and I'm going to build increased.
But that's something else. Is because the scale in which they wanted to build, instead of coming, all right, let's build 3 smaller data centers, right? Which is like kind of the approach Roman is doing, which is going to whatever's already deployed and developed and working with with current infra
Yeah.
versus no, we're gonna build a brand new one, and it's going to be of the size of Manhattan, right? And we're gonna take all this land and all this water, and we're gonna need a new substation, and we're gonna be but we're gonna be nice. We're gonna allow the community to plug to the substation to get what leftovers. That's gonna be a power hungry thing that's gonna eat whatever you throw at it. What are you talking
Right.
about?
And the other thing we started to do is to look at companies like HCAI, which is basically doing what blockchain did for DeFi, right? And now you can decentralize the processing and actually allow people to plug in
similar to what Render already does. So if
Yeah.
anybody has a GPU in a computer for gaming and it's a strong AI GPU, come and plug it into the system, to the network, and then
they get paid.
It's used for training. Yeah.
So,
Very well.
so that doesn't decrease the need for power, but it distributes the problem for things that are already using the power anyway. And like my kids, as soon as they heard this, they're like, "Well, I'm at school, for 8-10 hours a day. If this thing's going to earn me,
You
$50
plug the
a day,
computer.
I'm okay. I'll just leave my computer running for them."
Your idle time. You can even build VPNs and many other extra services once they allow you to use the idle time of your computer, which in blockchain is known. We do it often. But we'll see where all of this take us. I just know that there's a lot of data center talk, and I just know that there is not enough energy to power such data centers right now. So I worry that they're going to start raising the price on retail, or that we may have to regulate energy for for homes, because often soon, if nothing is done about the quality of the energy we get on homes is going to start degrade. We're going to start getting less, and we might be even start getting meter like demand, high demand.
And Utah does that already, right? Utah does that already. In the summer,
and that's without the data centers.
No, but in the summer in Utah, they put these new meters that are controlled by remotely by the central system, and if you sign up for their program where you allow them to vary the power on demand, then you get really cheap energy. If you don't, you pay a premium, right?
Sometimes I think that China is the test net of United States. You know, it's a lab. They everything they want to deploy here, they test it over there, and it's getting scary. But
I'm telling you, if I were the U.S. government, I'd push a lot for more solar, right? Give more incentives to the homes to just go solar.
Yeah, because at the end of all the generation will go to feed the AI eventually. So they will have to do a lot of subsidies.
And I think your idea some years ago, your idea is something that should go live at some point, and that's self-contained, containers with solar on them already to go, with enough ability to just drop them. They already have compute power already in them. They're self-cooled.
For your computer. So the same thing. I was thinking the same thing that we used to do for Bitcoin mining. Plug and play. Yeah. But for AI, and then you're a company, because the value of the company of having all your models and everything running in-house now is you own the servers and you own the security, you control the security, and it becomes more versus having to put it on the cloud on AWS or something like that.
Well, and think about all the desert land and stuff. Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, they have these massive empty places with tons of sunlight all year long, heat, and incredible amounts.
No plan for a data center is thinking on that. Everybody wants to plug to the current, whether it's hydro, to the grid. Yes. And that's the part that I'm like, well, if you connect to the grid, now you're competing with retail.
Yes.
And
I think when you told me that idea some years ago to go mine and do mining,
the mining that we were speaking about,
talking about, I thought this is great, and this is even more applicable to AI.
Yeah, and it's self-sustained.
Sustaining, yes.
So it's 100% green, which also give your company credits or points towards being a more green ecosystem.
So, I was interviewing a company that is looking for funding from us, and it's a company that has these big boxes that they drop in your warehouse, so you can turn any warehouse into a data center. And what this thing does is it just consumes carbon out of the air, and it produces CO2 cartridges that you can plug into soda machines, or water machines. So it takes the carbon out, releases oxygen, combines it with combines the oxygen. But the amount of credits you can get, and
it's a great story. It's all about the story.
Great.
It's a great story.
Drop one of these guys in New York, in LA, in some warehouses, turn the warehouses into data centers. Boom.
Well, we'll see. We'll see where the future takes. But meanwhile, this podcast is brought to you by VoiceCell's Flow AI. Right now, while you're listening to this, someone is on your website. They have a question. Do you ship to Canada? Is this in stock? Can I talk to someone? And what happens? Nothing. Because it's 3 a.m. or it's Sunday, or your team is busy, so they leave. They go to your competitor, and you never even knew they were there. VoiceCell's Flow AI fixes this. It's an AI voice agent that drops onto your website. With one copy-paste snippet, it talks to your visitors in a real human voice. It answers product questions, it qualifies leads, it captures emails and phone numbers automatically. It trains on your documents and URLs in minutes, and it never sleeps. Stop letting leads disappear into the void. Go to voicecellsflow.app today and start your free trial. Link is in the description box. My man, crypto, finally, it's getting some clarity, because this last week, the crypto market structure bill finally went through markups. But there are concerns around the Senate vote. The U.S. Senate Banking Committee advanced a long-awaited digital asset market structure bill with a bipartisan support, but Republicans still need Senate Democrats' votes to pass the bill in the full chamber. Many Senate Democrats, at least one Republican, however, says that they will not vote for the Clarity Act in the full Senate without provisions on ethics, specifically concerning elected official ties to the crypto industry. The Banking Committee Chair Tim Scott and other 12 Republicans voted against the amendment that will have addressed the U.S. presidential Trump potential conflict of interest. So basically, we're about to get the clarity we need, and this is going to be great for stablecoin payments. Several of the things we're actually doing here in the channel with the Digital Wallet, the technology, and the system in the back, but you will still need to get it through. Honestly, the only hurdle that I see based on what I'm reading is Trump conflict of interest. The guy launched a meme coin, he launched an NFT, he launched a World Liberty Finance. He has launched all kinds of businesses in the industry, and that is actually what's causing the hurdle, because the moment this becomes law, all his businesses benefit greatly from this. So there were a couple amendments that were trying to ban elected officials from the industry, right? So that he will have to renounce, but they're not getting it. So that will be the impasse right there. I will think, in my opinion, I don't see why they will not allow the conflict, right? In terms of not allow the conflict, allow the amendment that will remove the conflict, because I see Trump will always do the same shit. First, he doesn't care.
Right.
He's above the law. That's the reality, whether we like it or not.
Right.
And second, he can always put his kids on front, like he did last time with the Trump hotels and all that. They were making a big deal about he cannot be a president if he's still a real state mogul. And he put Eric in front, and he still closed deals. He still built new hotels around the world. And it didn't matter. So, they're just making a big fuss about it. But all eyes are on these because the Clarity Act is what will enable stable coins to become fully legal, transactional. That means that we are not going to need a money transmitter license when we're doing transactions and things of that class. We will also be able to pass some yield earnings to our users that are actively helping the development of the wallet. So all of that will now be legal and accepted the moment this becomes law. And we have a small window, but there are a lot of optimism. People in the industry says that it will pass, but I don't know. Politicians are a gamble. It's however they're feeling that day. However, and they're getting blackmailed, I will say, by the banks. So we'll see.
I think the banks have so much. I think they feel like they're losing power, through this move, and so that's a lot of money that's controlling the lives of a lot of Americans, and
that's a real problem here. That they feel threatened, and they're doing everything they can. And I worry that they will call in favors in the last minute from your favorite politicians to vote against it and win it that way, or delay it. They can delay so that if we don't get it in the May 26th session or whatever, that window, a couple days there, it's just going to get delayed. 3 years later, maybe we'll see that pop back up. It doesn't matter. What I've also been telling people, well, it's not legal, but it's also not illegal.
It's not illegal. Yeah.
Everybody's doing it right now. We can do, any company can issue. We can use stable coins. So, it's just give clarity. It's what the law is really doing is has nothing to do with us and everything to do with companies like Tether and Circle, which it's forcing them to buy bonds, U.S. treasuries. That's all it is. They want to keep the dollar monopoly control, because if Tether backs the stable coin with gold, with Bitcoin, with commercial paper, and it stops buying U.S. treasuries, then the dollar gets affected, because the dollar uses utility. It's all about utility. And that's why Trump even went to China. It's all about accessing the China retail market. So they want China to allow stable coins so that the Chinese population can buy stable coins. Because right now they cannot buy dollars. If they could, everybody holding one will have switched, but it's a dictatorship, so it's not allowed. So it's not going to be dollars. It's just going to be stable coins, and because you can see it. Nobody will be able to steal it from you. You will be able to see all the transactions. They're giving them the illusion of you remain in control. But for the United States, the U.S. dollar continues to be the medium of exchange. At the end of the day, that's the only thing they care. That the dollar continues to be the global medium of unit of account, right? And that everybody else uses it. The rest, they don't care what they do. They don't care who they sell, who they buy from. Has nothing to do with that. Now, there's an U.S. law firm that is filing a motion to request the redistribution of this 344 million USDT linked to Iran. But what's really happening here is this is just what do we call it? An ambulance chaser, like a tort lawyer, because this is malicious. The law firm Guestain Harrow LLP filed a motion on Thursday in a miscellaneous enforcement lawsuit, and it's just asking the court to grab those 344 million that were frozen from the hands of hackers and to redistribute them to people who suffer damages 26 years ago. StackXBT says that this is a predatory US law firm with a strategy that is pure evil. Whenever there is a new Lazarus Group victim after an exploit and crypto assets gets frozen, these clowns come in and say they have a claim for an alleged DPRK. This is the Republic of Korea, right?
Yes.
They're victim of the Republic of Korea from 26 years ago that has zero relationship to the current exploit. But they say, no, that money, send it over here.
And of course, the
lawyers.
The law firm is going to keep 70% or 80% of the proceeds.
All of it. Yeah. And then who are these supposedly victims? I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy that lawyers are even allowed to even do that. So,
yes.
So for example, remember the Culper DAO hack? Arbitrum was able to free 71 million in ETH from the hack. But instead of being allowed to send it to Aave, some lawyers like this, they submitted a motion and stopped them. No, that money is ours because that same hacking group stole money from us. So give it to us. Don't give it to the current victims. Give it to us because we were victims first. That is the claim. Actually, it's right here. We got it as the next. So a judge had to, the court had to come in and says, no. A Manhattan federal judge has allowed Arbitrum DAO to move the 71 million frozen to Aave, clearing the path for the DeFi protocol's recovery effort following the North Korea-linked exploit. Judge Margaret Garnett of the Southern District of New York issued the order on Friday, modifying a restraining notice that had locked the assets inside Arbitrum. The modification permits an on-chain governance vote to send the funds to a wallet controlled by Aave LLC and explicitly protects anyone who participates in the transfer from being held in violation of the freeze. Because the freeze is what another judge put in place when some of these lawyers came in. I don't understand it. I don't understand. How can you claim money? I get it. It's the same thief. The same thief stole from somebody else. But yes. How are you going to claim that the items they stole from somebody else now belongs to you as restitution? What? That's insane.
I think ambulance chaser is the right word.
Ambulance chaser. That's the type of lawyer this is. But meanwhile, let's see what our good old friend Gabriel Haynes got going on around. We haven't checked on him in a couple of weeks. We were out for a couple of weeks working on many things for you guys here in the community, but it looks like there are some updates. So let's see what he has to say.
Left is an AI generated Monet, and to my right is an original piece. Could you please explain in great detail what makes the AI version inferior to the original?
As an art history major, it's quite clear to me that the AI-generated image is flat and soulless. The original Monet conveyed passion and excess with every single brushstroke, while the AI strokes are flat and meaningless. There is no sense of depth. There is no sense of personality. The original is clearly made by a master of his craft.
They're actually both original pieces.
That's impossible. No, you've put a filter over it. You cropped it. This is a cheap gotcha trick. Monet sucks anyway.
Oh man, you know what that reminds me? Wine tasting. They come with the whole big bottle and the whole show, taking it off, and it's all a show. It's the whole wine tasting field is all a scam. The same that art, because it's all subjective. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's all how you perceive. So if they tell you a good story with the bottle, this bottle comes from the grounds of California, harvest of 2002, and you're like, oh shit, right? And now when you feel it, oh yes, it tastes amazing. But in reality, it might be a $12 bottle wine from the liquor shop. And many studies have been done, that blindfolded wine testing is always it always goes south. If whoever is tasting doesn't know what bottle it came from, he's not able to give a proper review. Same happens is happening now with art, and he's just making fun of the reality. This guy put up 2 Monets. They brought in a guy that was going to review. Supposedly was one a real one, and the other one was AI generated. And he gave a whole show and says how the AI one was soulless, to then be revealed that no, it is real. So who's full of shit? Us, the humans, as always, right? So
that's the thing. Like, I'm one of the bad ones, right? Because I see something I like. I don't care if it was done AI.
I don't care how it was done, but that's the thing. We're not into art, right? And we're not into money laundering.
I'm into art. I just really don't care. If it's gorgeous, it's gorgeous,
Exactly. But it's more about I like what I like, and I don't care how it came from. Yeah, I agree with that.
It sounds weird, but I live here in Mexico. I go to the center square on Sundays, and I see a nice looking Nike shoe that I know it's Mikey, not Nike. I'll take the Mikey. I don't care if it looks good. It looks good.
Yeah, 100%. And when it comes to that, I am with you. It's all about people look at the name of the brand. I look up, do I like it? How do I feel when I wear it? It's all about me. I cannot care less about what others think. But
I do on a certain level believe that the brand should be protected. They spend a lot of money protecting the brand building and marketing and all that. So to that I believe, right? So I don't think that I want to go by the copies, right? But where it's clearly they wrote Mike Mike instead of Nike Nike. I'm okay with that. That's clearly to me not the brand. Even if it looks 100%. Like the brand to somebody.
And it's all about does it does what you want it to do? At the end of the day, is it comfortable? Do you like it? Do you enjoy the experience of the product? That's what matters. But the reality is that in the AI era, we have to start getting accustomed to everything being pretty much AI slop. Everything, every new image going forward and movies and things will, AI, the same way that CGI, when CGI was introduced into movies, a lot of people said, no, you can tell it's computer generated, right? And you will see the critics giving a bad rating to a movie just because you could tell. I was able to tell it's CGI, right? Or too much CGI, they will say back in those days. Nowadays, nobody even bats an eye if it's CGI or not. Well, of course, because the technology has also advanced to the point where we cannot even tell reality, and that's where AI is going anyway.
Makes sense to me. I'm with you. I don't know, but I think that there is a group of people out there that are very serious, like you said, about art. And they have that sensitivity, and
because they used it to launder money, and now if the Monet is not worth what they say it's worth, it cannot be a tax write-off. It's that simple. But let's look at speaking of tax write-offs, and let's see how the markets are doing today, because we want to see how Bitcoin is moving. It went all the way to 83 this week. It came right back down. It's now dancing on 78. Ethereum was not able to get above the 200 moving average, so rejected of the 200 moving average. We're coming down. I suspect we're gonna come back down to revisit some of these levels down here around the 1800, and then push back up to see if we can break it. Silver had a retracement. It was pumping earlier this week, and all of a sudden, with all the uncertainty around the Iran war, is retracing again, and gold is holding strong above 4,500, 45, 39. So we'll see how the market reacts next week and see if there is actually a ground invasion or not. That's everything is around uncertainty related to energy right now. So we'll see where the week takes us. But remember that this podcast is brought to you by the Degen Wallet. Your bank does not want you to own your money. Think about that. They freeze accounts, they block transfers, they ask you where your money came from. They charge you fees for the privilege of holding your own cash. And if they decide that you are done, my friend, guess what? You are done. But the Degen Wallet says no. No to all of that. The Degen Wallet allows you to keep your money on chain forever. One app, infinite possibilities. Swap any token across any chain. One tap, stake your crypto, earn passive income while you sleep, borrow against your stack without selling a single token, spend your crypto, borrow against your stack, and no seed phrases, no hardware wallets, no 17-step setup that makes you want to cry. You can use your Face ID, your fingerprints. That is your key. You can just use your thumb. You can buy crypto with your credit card. You can sell it back to your bank. Your money moves both ways. No bank account required. No permission required. No one can take it because it is yours. So stop asking for permission to use your own money. Download the Degen Wallet today and join the decentralized generation. Link is in the description below. My man, have you ever used an antivirus?
I have.
You have? Man, I don't know, but this is how I feel every time. Every time I use that what is AVG? Free antivirus?
Yeah, AVG, yes.
This is how they work. I finally found it. This is how they work. I mean, they look like they're looking. They're protecting you. Oh man, this is fun. And last but not least, Elon Musk went to China and stole the show. Check this out. Everybody standing around, networking at the event. He doesn't care. I'm just gonna sit here. People will come to me anyway. Oh no. That's the CEO of what? I forgot the name. Big company. Big China company.
Alibaba.
No, another one.
Was that Jack Ma? I thought that was Jack Ma. It's very small on my screen.
I say what?
I said the image is really small on my screen. It looked like Jack Ma, the Alibaba CEO.
No, that wasn't Jack. It wasn't Alibaba's. It was, I forget, but I heard, I read it because they were making fun of that everybody, even the big techs. I don't know. I don't think it's Huawei either. It's one of the others. But it's a big one. One of the big ones. But the main point is that even the Apple, right? Everybody wanted to take a picture with Elon. Big deals supposedly went down there. Oddly enough, I haven't seen a lot of noise after they came back. No, not a lot of bragging. Not a lot of new announcements. Although that Boeing did sell a couple planes, and they actually Jensen sold a bunch of H200 chips. They lifted the ban, I guess, just for one sale or a couple sales. I don't know. I guess we'll find out in the next couple of weeks. But I know that a lot will come out of this meeting, because last time we went there, a trade war started a couple of weeks after. But what I believe is that all of this was theater, and this was just the two big countries alienating to be the first and the second power. All that USA cares is about stable coins. China cares about Taiwan, and they didn't mention the US didn't mention anything about it. They stayed quiet, and that tells me is that they're gonna allow China to take over Taiwan, and then I guess that the plan here is China and the United States as 1 and 2, and then the rest of the world under. China being the factory, and the United States being the financial ecosystem, right? So China builds it, United States sells it, charge it, and bill it, invoice you, right? So that's kind of the play I see going on. But what about you? What do you see? Did you keep up with the meeting?
I did not. This was not one I followed. I was too busy with other stuff. But one of the things that, because it was relevant to what we were talking about earlier, is that again, we're working on data centers and stuff, and we had a group of Chinese people contact us about buying like 1,500 HBAs. So the 100, 200, 3, whatever. I don't even know if there's 300. Anyway, but they wanted a bunch of GPUs, and you're talking about $78 million worth of equipment, and obviously we couldn't. It was illegal. And
no. They did the same. They went with the same order to what, 10 micro, and they put another case on it.
Yes.
With hair dryers. Took the stickers out, slap new labels, right?
They did,
bro. But man, the temptation, money was billions in that.
Yeah, but the thing that we found out, this started us talking to a whole bunch of people in the industry, and locally in the US, the hunger for GPUs is massive.
And I bet that they're doing it to many others.
Yeah.
And I bet that many others took the bait anyways, because what the EOJ is going after them is they're going to end up with a slap in the wrist, and that's it. A couple fines.
They made enough money out of it. It won't matter that much to them.
We'll see what it takes us. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you for bringing us and allowing us this time to come into your screens and talk crap for an hour. I hope that it was enjoyable and it added a ton of value, guys, to you guys. Meanwhile, we're gonna be here next week, breaking down the headlines, checking out what the future brings in this You're From the Future podcast. Anything else that you want to leave the audience with before we leave, my man?
No, I said I think that you identified something that I think the future is going to be here way faster than people think. I think by next year, when we have this podcast, we're going to be dealing with a whole bunch of people that are going to be wondering, what do I do next?
Yes, there will be, the next couple of years will be of transition. A lot of people that will feel like this is a gold rush and the best times of their lives. I have an old friend of mine that from the forum eras, before Facebook even existed, he was an administrator in one of the big forums that we used to frequent back in the day, and he reached out to me, and he's feeling like there's no better time to be alive, because finally many of his ideas can come to life because he's able to code them all. In the other side, like you said, many of the guys who are employees, juniors and seniors, even who all their life they built their careers inside a Fortune 500 company that always told them what to do, what to build, what to code. The moment you don't tell them, the moment you remove that, they don't know what to do. They will feel desperate. They will feel depressed. They will feel like there is no hope, but there is hope. There is hope. There's always hope, because there will be several new industries that will arise from this. And there is something that is really good about us humans, is that we can adapt. We're very adaptable. We can adapt even to some of the worst conditions, life conditions ever. And we can also adapt to the best, and that's actually works against us when we do. But the reality is that although it will feel like a lot of pain for a lot of people over the next few years, in regards to AI, I think that most people will be able to do the proper transition and move along. What worries me in the other side is the lack of energy, the choke points being placed on energy with the Strait of Hormuz, Malacca, several refineries that are being blown into pieces. I do see an issue with fertilizers specifically. We're 8 billion people on the planet. Fertilizers is what allows us to feed that many people. We are going to run out of fertilizers soon, in the next 6 to 8 months. So for the next growing season, next spring, what are we going to do? How are we going to feed? So I will advise anybody that is watching this that if you have at least a little garden outside, even if it's the smallest piece of plot, it doesn't matter if you're renting or if you own it, if you have access to any type of land, start learning how to sow, start learning how to grow your own garden so that you can self-sustain. Because at the end of the day, if you have all the money of the world in your hands, but when you go to the supermarket, there is no food, your money will be useless. Right?
And get a cow, man. That'll fertilize.
Yeah. That's what I'm telling my wife. We just get a couple goats. First, a goat will help you keep everything clean. You don't need a lawn mower anymore.
Yeah,
it gives you milk, and then put in the ground whatever we need: tomatoes, cucumbers, a little bit of everything.
Pile. Yeah,
that's it. Hopefully, we'll never need it. But what I tell them is this: we cannot wait until we're hungry to start growing. Yeah. To start growing, because it takes a couple months to grow out of the ground, right?
Yes.
So that for us is key, to make sure that we're well protected, and that if shit hits the fan, we at least can produce what we internally consume here, so that we can hang on until things settle down, which eventually they will, or at least that's what we pray. Anyways, thank you everybody for watching. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you again here in another episode of this From the Future podcast next week. Have a good one.